All right, I want to talk about something that doesn't make sense on the surface, okay? Strong men who feel empty inside. Not weak men, not men who are falling apart, not men who are falling, strong men, disciplined men, successful men who are doing everything they're supposed to do. Yet they feel nothing, just sad, depressed, just hollow. You ever feel that way? Like they're going through the motions but not actually living. I see it all the time. And here's what makes this so confusing. On paper, these men are winning. They've got the job, they've got the income, they've got the respect, they've got the life that everyone else wants. But inside, they feel like something's missing, all right? And they can't figure out what it is because they've checked all the boxes, they've done everything right. So why doesn't it feel right? This is what I've come to realize, all right? Strength without alignment is just performance. You see, success without connection is just emptiness. And discipline without direction is just exhausting. You can be strong and still be disconnected. You can be successful and still be lost. You can be doing everything right and still feel like something's off because external achievement doesn't mix eternal misalignment. It just doesn't fix it. So today we're going to be talking about why strong men feel empty inside, what that emptiness is actually trying to tell you, and why success without alignment is just another form of disconnection, all right? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. So let's talk about it. All right, let's start with the paradox of it all, because this doesn't make sense to most people. How can you be strong and empty at the same time? Well, first off, strength is supposed to mean you have it all together, right? Strength is supposed to mean you're fulfilled. Strength is supposed to mean you're winning. But here's the thing. Strength and fulfillment are not the same. You can be incredibly strong, disciplined, capable, resilient, and still feel completely empty inside. Because strength is about what you can do. Fulfillment is about who you are. See the difference there? And most men spend their entire lives building strength without ever building themselves. They build their career, they build their body, they build their bank account. They even build their reputation, but they never build their identity. They never build their internal compass. They never build a life that actually feels like theirs. So they end up strong on the outside and hollow on the inside. How many people do you know like that of your buddies? I can think of a few. And that hollowness is dangerous, man, because it's quiet. It doesn't look like a crisis yet. It doesn't trigger alarms, again, yet. It just slowly drains the color from everything. Here's what this looks like in real life, all right? So you wake up, you go to the gym, you go to work, you handle your responsibilities, you come home, rinse and repeat. And on the surface, you're crushing it. You're disciplined. You're consistent. You're doing everything you're supposed to do, right? But you don't feel anything. You're not excited. You're not fulfilled. You're not even present. You're just going through the motions. Been there, done that. And the worst part, you can't explain it to anyone because when you try, it sounds ungrateful. So many times that's happened to me, man. I have a great job, but I feel empty. I'm in great shape, but I feel disconnected. I'm successful, but I feel like something's missing. And people look at you like you're crazy because from the outside, you have everything. Oh, it must be nice, right? But from the inside, you have nothing. And that's the paradox, all right? You can have everything and still feel like you have nothing because what you have doesn't align with who you are. There's actual research on this. Studies show that men who achieve external success without internal alignment report higher rates of emotional numbness, satisfaction, and what's called success depression. Success depression is when you achieve the goals you set for yourself, and instead of feeling fulfilled, you feel nothing. Or worse, you feel more lost than before. Because you thought the achievement would fix the emptiness, but it didn't. And now you're left wondering, if this didn't fix it, what will? You know, this reminds me of a saying that a good buddy of mine told me one time when I was going through this exact same thing. I had so much expectation on the outcome of what I was doing in my career. And then once it finally happened, I felt enormously empty. And he told me that expectations are the thieves of joy. Okay, so now let's just talk about why success doesn't fix emptiness, all right? Because this is where a lot of you guys get stuck. You know, most guys think if I just achieve more, I'll feel better. If I make more money, I'll feel fulfilled. If I just get in better shape, I will feel whole. But it doesn't work that way, all right? Because emptiness isn't caused by a lack of achievement. It's caused by a lack of alignment. You're not empty because you haven't achieved enough. You're empty because you've been achieving things that don't actually matter to you. You've been chasing goals that look impressive but don't feel true. You've been building a life that looks good on paper but doesn't feel like yours. And no amount of external success can fix that. Most men don't chase their goals. They inherit them. They inherit them from their parents, from culture, from social media, from the invisible scoreboard that says this is what success looks like, okay? You know, we've talked about this. So they chase the promotion, they chase the house, they chase the car, they chase the relationship, they chase the body, and they achieve it, and they feel nothing because it was never theirs to begin with. I've been saying this over and over and over. I'm like a broken record now, brother. Guys who make six figures but hate their jobs. Guys who are in incredible shape but feel disconnected from their bodies. Guys who have the perfect family on Instagram but feel alone at home because they optimize for the wrong metrics. They optimize for what looks good, not for what feels true. And that's the trap. You can spend your entire life building something that impresses everyone, and by the time you realize it, you've invested so much time, so much energy, so much identity into that, you don't even know how to walk away. You stay and you keep performing and you keep feeling empty. Here's another layer to this, all right? Success doesn't fix emptiness because emptiness isn't a problem to solve. It's a signal. It's your body telling you that you are not aligned. It's your nervous system telling you that something is off. It's your soul, or whatever you want to call it these days, telling you that you're not living your true, you're living someone else's. And you can ignore that signal, you can numb it, you can dumb it down, you can do whatever you want with it to distract yourself. And some of you will just work harder to drown it out. But here's the thing, it doesn't go away. It just gets louder. Trust me on this. Because until one day, you just can't ignore it anymore. And that's when men break. Not because they're weak, but because they've been ignoring the signal for so long that it finally forces them to stop. So what is emptiness actually trying to tell you? It's trying to tell you that you're disconnected from yourself, from what you actually want, from what actually matters to you. Emptiness is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something is wrong with how you're living. And that's a huge difference. Because if something is wrong with you, you need to fix yourself. But if something is wrong with how you're living, you need to change your life. And most men don't want to hear that because changing your life is hard. It's uncomfortable. It requires you to let go of things that you've built. It requires you to disappoint people. It requires you to admit that you've been moving in the wrong direction. But here's the thing, the discomfort of change is temporary. The discomfort of emptiness is permanent. You can keep living the way you're living. You can keep achieving. You can keep performing. You can keep looking strong on the outside, but the emptiness will stay and it will get worse. Or you can just listen to what I'm trying to tell you and you can start making the adjustments now. Small adjustments, not a complete life overhaul, all right? Don't get it twisted. Just small shifts toward alignment. Here's what emptiness is specifically trying to tell you. So there's signal one, you're chasing the wrong things. If you feel empty after achieving something, it's because that thing wasn't actually yours. It was someone else's definition of success. So the signal is stop chasing what looks good and start chasing what feels true. You're disconnected from yourself, all right? If you feel empty when you're doing this, it's because you've lost touch with who you are. You've been performing for so long, man, that you don't even know what you actually want anymore. So the signal is stop performing. You're avoiding something. Emptiness is often a defense mechanism, brother. It's your brain's way of protecting you from feeling something harder. Grief, anger, fear, regret, that kind of stuff, you know? So the signal is stop numbing and start feeling. Not connected to anything bigger than yourself. If you feel empty, even when you're successful, it's because success without purpose is just noise, all right? You're achieving things, but you're not building toward anything meaningful. So the signal is stop optimizing and start orienting. Now here's the hard part with it, all right? Listen to these signals requires you to slow down. And most men don't want to slow down because slowing down means you have to sit with the emptiness. You have to confront it, right? And sitting with that emptiness is uncomfortable. That discomfort is where the clarity is. That's where you hear yourself again. That's where you figure out what actually matters. And I'm telling you, you have to sit through it. All right, so how do you actually move from emptiness to alignment? Not complicated, but it does require honesty. Brutal, uncomfortable honesty. Step one is to stop and ask yourself the hard question. What do I actually want? What I think I should, not what looks impressive. What do I actually want? What am I tolerating that I shouldn't be? What parts of my life feel off? What am I doing because I think I'm supposed to, not because I want to? What would I do if I wasn't afraid of the judgment? If no one was watching, what would I change? These questions are uncomfortable because the answers might require you to make changes you're not ready to make. But you don't have to make those changes today. You just have to be honest about the answers. Step two is just to start making small adjustments toward alignment. You just got to start. You don't have to blow up your life. You just have to quit doing what you've been doing. Don't quit your job or move across the country or make some dramatic change. You just have to start moving in the direction that feels truer. And you'll know the difference between that. Maybe that means saying no to something you've been tolerating. Maybe that means starting a project you've been putting off. Maybe that means having a hard conversation you've been avoiding. Small adjustments compound. And over time, they reorient your entire life. Step three is to reconnect with yourself, okay? This is the hardest one because most men have been performing for so long that they don't even know who they are anymore. You need to spend time alone, in stillness, without distractions, without your phone, without music, without anything. Just you and your thoughts. And you need to listen. Don't judge the thoughts. Don't fix it. Fixing will come later because that's where your internal compass recalibrates. That's where you hear what you actually want. That's where you actually start to feel like yourself again. Trust me on this. Trust me, trust me, trust me. Then step four is to connect with something bigger than yourself. Emptiness often comes from living a life that's only about you. your success, your achievement, your goals. But fulfillment comes from contribution, from building something that matters, from being part of something bigger, taking the ego and the self out of the equation. This could be your family, your community, your work, your faith. Whatever it is, you need to be connected to something that gives your life meaning beyond your own achievement. Because success without meaning is just emptiness with a better view. All right, so here's the bottom line. You can be strong and still feel empty. You can be successful and still feel disconnected. You can be doing everything right and still feel like something's missing. Because strength without alignment is just performance, all right? Success without connection is just emptiness. And the emptiness you're feeling, not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something is wrong with how you're living. So stop ignoring it. Stop numbing it. Stop trying to achieve your way out of it. Start listening to what you're trying to tell yourself. Start making small adjustments toward alignment. Start reconnecting with yourself. Because you don't need more success. You need more truth. Next time, we're going to be talking about anger, why your anger isn't the problem, why it's actually a symptom of something deeper, and what that something is. Because most men think anger is the issue, but anger is just the signal. And once you see what is signaling, everything changes. So remember, guys, you're driven by purpose and you're built for legacy.